people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Morning, and I asked you after fight, was there a regret, and you said possibly. But was it discussed?
Yeah, from our side, from Matchroom's side, we felt there should have been a reweigh on Saturday. It was chosen not to be pushed, and I feel that's a mistake. But I also understand that Devin rehydrates to massive numbers. But it's got nothing to do with Devin. You see, what would happen in that situation, I've been there 50 times on both sides of the street there when someone misses weight. You always try and get the fighter to rehydrate on a Saturday. A lot of the time they don't want to do it, of course, but it's how far you can push them. Now, maybe Ryan Garcia was the type of guy that would have just walked away and gone on. But Bill also probably felt that Devin rehydrates to massive numbers. We don't really want to reweigh either, you know, but you shouldn't have to, because Ryan's the guy that missed the weight. So hindsight's a great thing, you know, and I think if they would have pushed the Saturday weigh-in, there would have been a big chance that the fight wouldn't have taken place. And obviously Bill didn't want that, Devin didn't want that, but it was a massive physical advantage. You saw it on the night. It's like you're fighting a middleweight in there, you know, and I would love to know what Ryan weighed as he walked to the ring that night.
So you see what it is. Matchroom and Eddie Hearn insisted that maybe they should do another weigh-in on Saturday, but Bill didn't want that to happen and didn't want it pushed because they rehydrate pretty heavy too. Thus,
You made your bed and you have to lie in it.
there's a lot of talk right now as to how we're supposed to interpret Ryan's victory over Devin Haney, his somewhat dominant victory over Devin, and what role weight had to play in all of that, because we know that Ryan didn't actually make the contracted weight for the fight. They contracted the fight at 140 pounds. At the last minute, Ryan didn't make it.
Some speculate that it was never his intention to make it.
And if it wasn't, what are we supposed to make of all of this? Should we give him credit for beating Devin Haney under those circumstances? How should we view him as a fighter? What I'm about to say has less to do with sympathy for Devin and Bill and more to do with Ryan and how I view him. Because as far as Devin and Bill,
You did it to yourselves.
you know how much weight your son has to cut to get down to 135, and you knew how much weight he had to cut to get down to 140, but you did it anyway. It comes at a price.
Your punch resistance.
Your power and your ability to perform on the night. How many times in how many videos have I told you this? The reason I don't carry on about quote-unquote weight bullying is because I know sooner or later it backfires. And so many people are doing it, you can't single any one fighter out.
There's a lot of guys doing that.
So understand, what I'm about to say has less to do with sympathy for Devin and more to do with how I view Ryan.
All the praise in the world. Now, let me talk about Ryan Garcia for a minute and why I just despise him. I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan, bro. You know, you say and claim Jesus Christ and as your savior and you know and all of this stuff, bro. But then in the same sentence you stand telling somebody to suck your dick.
Certainly not something I would expect Jesus Christ to say.
Like, bro, like, are you kidding me? Like that just don't that doesn't make sense, and that doesn't go well with me. That's so much contradictory for me. You know, all of the stuff that he did lead up. He was just playing, or you know, he got us and he got me. That's the real Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, I agree with Tim, because I haven't forgotten that Ryan Garcia went as far as saying that he was molested in the build-up of this fight. Was that supposed to be promotion? Telling people that you were molested? Does that sound like something?
Was that him just playing?
Child molestation and pedophilia, does that sound like something you just play with or use to promote a fight?
That is the real Ryan Garcia. He ain't playing, that's him. That's him. He's let his guard down. He's gonna be what he's gonna be. He's just saying, you know what, this is me. I'm gonna behave that way.
What about Ryan's erratic behavior in the buildup of this weekend's fight was necessary, a necessary component?
It was necessary that he try and convince people he was having a mental breakdown. That was necessary.
He had to do that.
I don't like it. I don't like it. And I don't have to like it. At all. Period. And so that's why I kind of despise it. I don't like the dude. 1. 2, he has a huge following. Good for him. But as far as accomplishment in the sport, come on, man. The dude hasn't done anything in the sport.
See this bit right here. This is what we're really here to talk about. Did Ryan do anything on Saturday? Did he really?
Oh, they're saying, oh, he's going to be the new face of boxing, yada, yada. All right. Win the world championship. Beat somebody with credibility. All right. Now you say everybody's saying you beat Haney, right? And I didn't think you was going to beat Haney. But it wasn't on an even playing field.
This part here, this is the point of contention. This is the part that most people are discussing.
Was it a clean win?
I don't care what anybody say. It wasn't on an even playing field. I've been in this game long enough, 30 plus years in this game. I know what the hell I'm talking about.
Thinking about Ryan's erratic behavior in the build-up and the things that he said, the kind of things you don't usually hear said to promote a fight, what was all that? Ryan's version of promotion, or was he just playing around as if molestation is anything to play around with? Because that's a part of what he said.
There were people that thought this kid was going through a legitimate mental health breakdown.
If he wasn't, then what the fuck was all of that? Was that just Ryan playing around, having a mental illness and being manic? That's something to play around with. That kind of
says it.
Touches on what it is Tim is talking about. This kid's an asshole.
He can be.
He's within his rights to be an asshole, but people are within their rights not to like him for it. Tim is within his rights not to like him for it.
Isn't it insensitive?
For those out there who may have experienced what it is Ryan claims to have experienced when he was a child, or for those who may be battling mental illnesses, isn't it insensitive of Ryan to joke around with this stuff?
I'm not sensitive about it, but somebody else might be.
I'm not sensitive about it. I don't give a shit. The whole time he was battling his mental illness or whatever it was, I maintained the same energy here on this channel. This kid's not battling through nothing, and it's all an act.
Said the same thing about Tyson Fury. I still say it.
Do you know why I say it?
Why?
These guys have got to get evaluated in order to fight. They have to be evaluated physically,
yes,
mentally,
yes,
and whatever it is you claim to be battling that's an illness, it can't be that bad if the commission is still giving you a license to fight. Are you undergoing any therapy? Are you on any medications for your supposed illness?
You're not.
And you know you're not, because if you were, you likely wouldn't be able to get a license to box.
You think they're gonna let somebody hopped up on medication go out there and take punches to the head?
No, but these days, so long as you say anything publicly to cultivate favor and sympathy, the rubes fall for it. They fall for it every time. So when Ryan goes out there pretending to have a manic episode or some kind of mental issue, isn't that insensitive towards the people that do have mental health issues, do have mental illnesses?
It's not something to play around with or use to promote a fight.
But if he's been playing around this whole time and he's all right and he fooled everybody, isn't that what he did?
It's a shitty thing to do, but I think Ryan is a shitty guy. So does Tim.
In the shuffle, it probably is going to get lost in the shuffle even if I do say this. Ryan Garcia fought Gervonta Davis at 135 pounds with a rehydration clause. That was a weight Ryan struggled to make. He made it, and then he had a rehydration clause. He never really was able to get back to where he needed to be. The opposite happened here in the Devin Haney fight. Ryan Garcia fought Devin Haney at 140 pounds and never even made the weight. And then there was no rehydration clause. And losing the last few pounds is always the most difficult. Those are always the most difficult pounds to lose. Those are always the ones that really destroy you trying to make weight. Not to say that the result would have been definitely different, but again, it's a completely different version of a fighter you're getting here. The fight was 5 pounds up and he didn't make weight. No rehydration clause. Not that there really could be a rehydration clause. We know, we were told from the Prograis fight, if everybody remembers correctly, that Haney went all the way up to 165 after the Prograis weigh-ins.
If Paulie Malignaggi is saying these things, it's not because of how much sympathy he has for Devin or how much he likes Devin, because he doesn't like Devin. And they've had it out publicly, Paulie Malignaggi and Devin Haney.
They don't like each other.
So if Paulie Malignaggi is saying these things, It's not because he's going up to bat for Devin. It's because it's reality. Here you have one fighter who made the contracted weight and one fighter who didn't. One fighter who looks like it was never even his intention to make the weight. After the fight, he said he tried everything and he couldn't make it. He can't get down to 140.
And you don't think it matters that Devin did?
Like I said before, I'm not saying what I'm saying for sympathy of Devin. Devin made his bed, and he has to lie in it. No, I'm saying what I'm saying because now we have to process this victory. Now we have to interpret it. Is Ryan really a better fighter than we thought?
Is that what this is?
Much credit are we supposed to give him for this victory when it wasn't fought on an even playing field? No, if this guy makes the weight and you don't, that ain't even.
Because it takes effort to make the weight. It takes work. And you could end up leaving a piece of yourself in the gym trying to make it where the other guy has no intention of making it. Those last 3 pounds, they do matter.
Because you didn't have to kill yourself trying to lose them where the other guy did. This is not about sympathy for Devin. It's not about Devin. It's how we're supposed to look at Ryan moving forward. And how I look at Ryan moving forward, you know, I didn't think Ryan was a great fighter before that fight. And based on what happened, I still don't think he's a great fighter. I don't rate him.
Because this is what you had to do to win?
You had to make sure that he makes 140 while you don't, so that he could be depleted. Kinda like Gervonta Davis made sure you were depleted. I don't rate Gervonta's victory over Ryan, and I don't rate Ryan's victory over Devin for that reason.
You guys are playing games with the scales, and it's obvious why.
Gervonta wanted to make sure that you wouldn't be able to take a shot, and you made sure that Devin wouldn't be able to take a shot. Devin already had a reputation for being chinny.
This couldn't have made things better.
Immediately after the fight, the night of, I told you, I didn't see a great display of boxing, nuts and bolts boxing from Ryan. All I saw is that as soon as this guy lets his hands go, that's as soon as he can hurt Devin. That's as soon as Devin is on Queer Street.
That's it.
In this digital era of disingenuous arguments and ulterior motives, there are some who are talking up this victory because they love Ryan no matter what, and others who are only talking it up so that they can indirectly glorify Gervonta Davis for beating Ryan,
right,
who just beat Devin.
Right.
The Gervonta Davis fans are treating this like this is a victory for Gervonta when Gervonta ain't the one who was fighting on Saturday.
If anything, he should be kicking himself that he didn't fight Devin sooner. Maybe it could have been him that had that victory over Devin, but he didn't want to know.
He's too much of a coward so that you can celebrate someone else coming in and doing the job that you were supposed to do?
Ryan?
You weight drained Ryan. You knew exactly what you were doing, kind of like how Ryan knew exactly what he was doing, not making the weight, ensuring that Devin makes 140, and at the last minute, I'll reveal that I'm not making 140. No, I'm stopping at 143. That's enough for me.
They all knew what they were doing, and neither of them get credit from me.
Not Gervonta, and not Ryan. Gervonta didn't prove he's the best at anything by beating Ryan with weight stipulations, and Ryan, all of his shenanigans...
Is that the only way you could beat Devin?
Act like a fucking maniac on social media, act erratic, and tell people they were playing beer pong in your asshole. Trickery with the weight, play games with the scale. This was the only way you could beat this guy?
Usyk doesn't have to do that to beat a guy. He knew he doesn't have to do that to beat a guy. Terrence Crawford doesn't have to do that to beat a guy.
But you do, because you're not as good as them. And I don't think of you as being anywhere near them.
You think Ryan cares?
Not at all. But if you want to know what I think, and you're here, so I'll assume that you do.
He's not elite.
I don't think Ryan is an elite fighter. Saturday didn't prove that if this is what you have to resort to.
Trickery.
I don't rate him. He's not going to end up on my pound-for-pound list. The rules are what the rules are for a reason. You need a belt just to be considered, much less ranked, and he didn't win one because he didn't bother to make the weight.
If he had, and he won, then he'd be on.
But he's not. Ryan didn't subject himself to what Devin subjected himself to because he knew what it would do to him, and he knew what it would do to Devin.
He's not elite.
The way it is now, these guys are trying to get a win wherever they can get one, however they can get one.
No standard.
And they can do that. They're at liberty to do that, just like I'm at liberty to call it down the middle and call it what it is. I'm not impressed. I don't think Ryan is elite. Ryan Garcia has now named Isaac Cruz and Sebastian Fundora as two fighters that he would like to face next, but said he plans to first step away from boxing for a little bit following the Devin Haney win.
Aren't those PBC fighters?
To both of them, is there any reason to believe that they may change their decorum in the near future? We know that Sebastian's sister, his younger sister, Gabriela Fundora, she's with Golden Boy. Is it possible that Sebastian ends up over there?
Mentioned Isaac, too.
Well, Isaac is now rumored to be facing Rayo Valenzuela on the undercard of Crawford versus Madrimov.
That's the latest.
So, that rules him out, at least at the moment. Maybe Ryan can keep busy with Sean O'Malley, the UFC's Sean O'Malley, who sees a boxing match versus Ryan Garcia after 2 more wins in the UFC.
What?
This is the skinny guy that pours packs of Kool-Aid in his hair.
What the fuck's he doing that for?
The latest MMA fighter who would like to try his hand at boxing and end up paying the consequences for a bigger bag than the bags he's been getting at the UFC. That's the only reason these guys do it.
Cashing out.
The UFC may be the top earning promotion in all of combat sports at the moment, but that doesn't mean their fighters are making what boxers are making. They're not. And that's the only reason it's one-way traffic. That's the only reason you see a lot more UFC fighters trying to cross over into boxing than the other way around, because the octagon pays peanuts on a dollar, whereas boxing is where the big bucks are.
Enough of that.
It's not from desire to become a champion in 2 separate combat sports, because Ryan is not a champion, and he's not trying to become one. That's why he didn't make the weight for Saturday's fight. This is not about...
This is not a legacy thing.
Sean tells himself, what's the worst that'll happen? A guy knocks me out in a sport I don't practice anyway.
It ain't my town.
And listen, Ryan might do it, because Ryan's not standing on principle, and he's not in it for legacy. He has a very unconventional career.
It's unique unto him.
For anyone out there who might try to model their own career after Ryan Garcia's, need I remind you that he didn't acquire notoriety in the boxing ring. He acquired it on social media. So unless you're about to become the next great TikToker / social media influencer / boxer,
It ain't gonna work out.
you might have to do it the old-fashioned way. You might have to earn it. Yeah, Ryan's circumventing a lot of the protocols and proper channels towards getting at the bag, the big paydays in the sport of boxing. But what he does because his situation is unique, and it's not a one-size-fits-all answer for every boxer in the sport.
I don't rule it out.
If Francis Ngannou can share the ring with both Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua in a matter of months, then I don't rule out the possibility that Ryan could share the ring with Sean O'Malley. It's entirely possible.
And it is in keeping with the tone that Ryan sets for what is his boxing career.
Obviously, he's not going to be campaigning at 140. Technically, he never did. He's going to campaign anywhere. Might be 147, maybe 154. After all, he did mention Sebastian Fundora as a person of interest. But I don't expect him to challenge a Jaron Boots Ennis or anybody like that. I don't expect to see a fight like that.
In spite of the unexpected having happened on Saturday due to Team Haney's miscalculation and being overzealous, overconfident,
It blew up in their face, and in spite of the unexpected happening this past Saturday, I know what to expect moving forward from Ryan.
I've got a good idea.
Though none of it'll make him an elite fighter.